Okay, everyone. I'm sure most of you are sick of hearing my voice by now, but I have returned with a good friend of mine, Connie. And Connie, could you introduce yourself to the audience so they know who it is I'm talking with today?
Yes, so can you hear me all right? Yes? Perfect. So Cornelia Wittke, I work for a company called Ecovative, and I'm the president of the Forager division, which is the textile and foam division of Ecovative.
That sounds like a big title, but what I'm very excited that we have, you probably noticed on stage, we have this beautiful material here. Could you tell the audience a little bit about it?
Yes, absolutely. Maybe a bit about Ecovative first, and yes, it's a big title, but it's an innovator company, so you do a lot of small things. But Ecovative, basically, the mission of the company is to create material abundance. And we do that by using infinitely renewable materials in order to create material abundance. So in our case, that is mycelium. Mycelium is a vegetative part of the mushroom. It's much bigger than the fruiting bodies that we're all familiar with. It's underground, it's very, very big, and Ecovative found ways to grow that in very controlled ways in vertical farms in the Netherlands in order to make materials with it. And we have two live business units. One is actually in food. It's vegan bacon, only available in the United States for now. And the second one is textiles, which I'm here for today.
Could you explain how mycelium farm grown and the science behind creating heirloom as well?
Yes, absolutely. So it's a very farmy process. So it starts with biostraw as a substrate for the mycelium to eat. It's basically the food, and then that gets put into big shelves, and then it gets inoculated with mycelium spawn, and then the farm gets closed. Every environmental factor gets very, very closely controlled, and then in less than 10 days, the material grows into very big sheets. So it's whole sheets. It's one bed is 1.6 meter wide and up to 30 meter long. So it's very big. And then it's like about 6 centimeters, very cushiony, very satisfying material. And then the door gets open, it gets harvested, and then sent to the tannery. ECCO is our tannery partner in the Netherlands, and they process it. So they tan it, re-tan it, and finish it. So you can have a lot of different colors, textures, etc. And we, as you can see, we grow in whole structures. So that is very unique. We do not grind and bind, or we do not take the biomass, dry it, grind it, and then bind it back together. But we basically work with the structural power of mycelium, which is very difficult, but we do it nonetheless, because only then you can get this supple, this genuinely grown feel of the texture.
So for those who prefer more of a visual explanation, we will roll the video so you can understand a bit better what it is that Connie was sharing. So if we could play the video, please.
The future of fashion is grown. Discover Forager hides by Ecovative. Forager is a luxurious, animal-free material born from mushroom mycelium and upcycled plant waste. Our mycelium hides are an entirely bio-based blank canvas, crafted from renewable resources, seamlessly integrating into existing supply chains. With minimal environmental footprint, the only byproducts from our production are pure water and compost to nourish the earth. Grown efficiently in vertical farms in just days. Once harvested, the mycelium is tanned and finished to brand specifications at our partner tanneries. Available in a variety of textures, thicknesses, finishes, and colors, Forager caters to diverse brand design needs. Forager materials are now available for prototyping and small run production, with a full market release approaching. Ecovative leads in mycelium technology, advancing sustainable materials to reduce land, water, and energy use in manufacturing. With facilities in New York and the Netherlands, Ecovative is transforming fashion worldwide. Trusted by top brands, Forager by Ecovative is set to redefine materials for fashion, footwear, accessories, and more. Join the movement and be a part of a new dawn in fashion. Discover Forager hides by Ecovative, the science of style.
Hopefully that explained it and kind of like complementary to what you just explained. So there's so many new materials out there. So what makes this one particularly different when it comes to sustainable materials?
It's mostly that the sustainability, of course, and also that it has a structural growth to it. So it's a really grown material. It's not a, as I said, it's not a grind and bind material, but it literally works with the power of biology and to create a finished structure. That is very different. And then obviously it's a very sustainable material. So the base is entirely bio-based. It has lower carbon emissions. It's fully circular and also has very low land use because we grow in vertical farms. So you can grow 9 square meter of material on only 1 square meter of space because you're going 9 shelves high. And we have also minimal water use because we don't need to do any of the dehairing, defleshing, none of that is needed because mycelium doesn't have any hair. So
It sounds pretty perfect. I mean, have we got any designers in the house? Any fashion, is one brave enough to come and feel this material and tell me what they think as a designer? Would you be brave enough to come on up? Love to hear it from those who would probably use the material. Share us your thoughts. Yes? Would you use this material? There's a handbag that was made with it as well. Yeah?
sorry?
When you wear it. She's all.
Yeah, when you can wear it. Right now, the focus is mostly in small leather goods and handbags right now, currently. But we're continuously actually working on different generations of the material. So right now, we're working on a version that's much thinner and much better for ready to wear. But the material in itself is breathable because it's a naturally grown structure.
Thank you for coming up, ladies. I thought it'd be quite nice to hear it from the people that might actually use the materials. So you said you farm the material. So could you talk us through the process of farming?
Yes, I explained it a little bit already. So you load the farming, shelves with substrate, which is a biostraw. You inoculate, you farm, very carefully control the environmental conditions, and then you harvest it basically before it goes to the tannery.
So how are you kind of thinking about scalability? What are your thoughts on it? Because a lot of new materials, one of the big hurdles is scaling it. How is that working out for you?
Very good question, and I think it's a fundamental question for innovators. To me, scalability has to be, a business has to be planned with scalability in mind, because otherwise it can be very, very difficult to actually turn it into a business. And for Ecovative, they were very smart, way before my time, but to build it into literally their business model, because while we start in bioreactors and then we start to do the proof of concept in our own vertical farm in New York, smaller scale, but there's a big, big infrastructure of vertical farms and tanneries with centuries of experience that we then tap into. So it has multiple advantages. We do not have to, it's not as resource intense because we don't have to build a new factory every time we want to increase our capacity. It's also lower capex, important obviously for innovators, and it's also faster because there is a lot of capacity for button mushrooms out there to farm in.
So what are some of the challenges? Because you've explained it and you've told us how you do the farming. Some of the audience were able to come up and have a feel of the material and they seem to like it quite a lot. So it all sounds amazing, but what are some of the challenges? Because I'm sure there must have been some.
Oh yeah, there's plenty.
Please share.
So for one I think the biggest one is the control of biology, right? So to replicability, which we are working on, we have a big lab and a lot of researchers, you have to control biology to perfection here, because obviously people are not going to accept anything that's not perfect. That's not going to happen. And the other thing that I think that's one that all innovators share is the price volume curve. You have always an end goal in mind in terms of pricing, costing, but the reality is you do start small, and small things cost more money. So I think that's something where we have to very closely work with brands on that understanding. We're very clear-eyed. Ecovative is a hyper pragmatic company, very clear-eyed about where we have to be, but you need the cooperation, the collaboration to actually get there with the realities of, as I said, the price volume curve that just exists, if you like it or not.
So how do you overcome that hurdle of pricing? Because I know with a lot of innovators, pricing is a big thing, and I think brands sometimes forget that the mobile phone was once super duper expensive and now it's become affordable for everyone. Everyone can have a phone. So to get to that point, you need people to commit. Yes. So how do you get people to commit?
It's one big circle. It's performance is how you get people to commit, material performance, and the vision about where pricing has to be. I think that's you have to do it, and then you have to have a joint understanding of how to get there, and the way to get there is scale. So it's adoption, it's brand support, it's getting volume behind it, and at the same time having an understanding that you cannot price on day one like you can price on the ultimate day, basically, of scale. So, but scale is a secret, like in any industry, to get where we need to be in terms of costing.
So through the challenges that you've faced, what are some of the lessons that you've learned that you'd like to share with us?
I mean, lessons is that nothing will happen if we do not have the performance. Consumers rule with their wallets. That's just the truth. And consumers talk a lot about sustainability, but they don't necessarily pay for it. So I think the lessons is we have to perform and we have to get the price-volume ratio right. That is our job, and it's not an easy journey always, but again, I think to not be romantic about it. That's what made me say. So I think to not fool ourselves. I have lived in America for 20 years, in particular over there. Let's not fool ourselves in terms of the consumer's willingness to spend more for something just because it is more sustainable. There's a niche of a consumer that does it, but there are not many. So we have to make the product super desirable and competitively priced.
I think that's a really good lesson, because a lot of brands do lead with sustainability, but sustainability doesn't sell to that degree. Like you said, you kind of spend with what you have in your pocket. But if you lead with performance, yes. If you lead with the fact that this product can be long-lasting, this material will make it so people want to buy it more, they will more likely invest in performance than sustainability, yeah. I think, at this point.
Yeah, exactly. And it has to live up to the expectations. And then the story is great. I mean, the story is wonderful. It's the material abundance. It's renewable resources. It's infinite. Mycelium is a very active, aggressive organism. That is literally non-killable. so I think that the story is great. But ultimately, you want a bag, you want a garment that wears well and that looks good, and that's just the reality. So
instead of not being able to kill it, you decided to use it.
Exactly.
Exactly. And I also think that as well, when you say performance versus sustainability, I do feel like performance is not an add-on for brands. Sustainability kind of, unfortunately, still is. They do have it as an add-on. Can we afford sustainability? How can we do it, as an extra cost? But when it comes to performance, that's just part of...
It's non-negotiable.
It's non-negotiable.
And
it's part of the product.
Everything around it will be decided by the consumers. And we as consumers, everybody is a consumer too. If you really want it, you have to rule with your wallet. That's and that is, I think, in the beginning stages. There are some countries that are further ahead, some others not so much, but that's just a slower development. I think it will happen. I hope it will happen, but it's just not going to happen overnight. That the dollar goes where the mouth is.
I agree completely, and I think my solution would be like, don't lead with sustainability as the first thing, because like you said, consumers, they pay with what they have in their pocket, and it's just not something that we put at the top of the list.
Yes.
We want to. We have all the good intentions, but it's just not happening so easily right now. So talking about adoption, how do you see the role of collaboration with brands and tanneries driving the adoption of this material?
Very important. For us, we partner and collaborate very closely on both sides of the aisle, so to speak. On the supply side, as I explained, we do partner very closely with vertical farms and also with tanneries. We work with ECCO. I mean, ECCO is a massive player. They are really, really good at their craft, and they're very innovation focused, and they're very critical for us to bring this to market. And on the brand side, we have wonderful partners that have an innovation mindset, and that's what you need, right? Because they also look at material and say, "Oh, can I qualify this? Can I?" They cannot take any risk with their brand reputation. So, and there are wonderful brands out there that have innovation departments that work very actively throughout the process and looking at this as its own material class. So, looking at it, what should the standards be for this material? How do I work with this? Manufacturing is a bit different with this material than, for example, with leather. It's its own thing, but gladly they do exist. We have wonderful partners. I cannot name all of them. I can name some of them, but so that is super important for us.
You touched on manufacturing. Is this kind of material easy to manufacture with the traditional machines that we have today?
It is easy with the right mindset. So I think...
Elaborate, please.
Yeah, so I think also there's different players in every industry. There are contract manufacturers. that have a wonderful innovation mindset. For example, if they work with leather but also non-wovens, that's usually good. And then they want to make it work. I mean, it does work, you know. So, but it takes for the people who do it to not just plug and play. You know, you have to think about it for a moment. We have manufacturing guides, and you have to just adjust things. But then it absolutely does work. We are prototyping a lot because prototyping is important. We're testing a lot, so it exists. But some just wanna, it's different. You know, like everything in life. Some are like that, but there are gladly a lot of them who take up the challenge and do really genuinely enjoy innovation.
And I think it's really hard as well for traditionalists to embrace this change of innovation, but I'm really excited by this material. I mean, I know the ladies over there felt it, but for those who don't know, it does feel very leathery, and it smells like leather too.
Yes.
Doesn't it?
Yes,
Some of
it
the
has.
quality.
It has. Some of it is obviously because it goes through tanning, and the feel of it is because of the naturally grown texture. And I'm not a purist, you know. For me, you can mix and match material all you want, you know. So we are not against leather, and absolutely no means, you know. It's a new material class that has its own right of existence, and that takes a century-old knowledge also from the leather industry, and that can also beautifully coexist with multiple materials in conjunction.
So how is your company overcoming market entry hurdles, which there are probably quite a few?
Scale.
Scale. She whispers it. Yeah, scaling is one of the big ones.
I mean, again, we're still improving performance, I will say, because we're still working on strength and uniformity. That's, as we always say, that's the entry ticket to anything in this. And we have a very clear business model. We know where we can be price-wise, and now it's close collaboration. So it's like juggling, right? An innovation or a new business is like juggling. You're juggling a lot of balls. So in order to get this finally to mass adoption.
I'm kind of happy that you know what the challenge is, but you're not scared by it.
Oh no, I'm too old to be scared by those things.
Final question. Before I ask you a final question, because I'm looking else at the time, I want to put it out to the audience. Does anybody have a question? Oh, we've got two people. Okay, if we could have the mic.
Thanks. Just out of curiosity, what kind of mushroom is from the mycelium from?
I heard, what is that mushroom?
What kind of mushroom? Just out of curiosity.
Okay. We work with a strain of the reishi mushroom.
Oh, reishi. Okay, thanks. Is it a really aggressive mycelium?
Oh, sorry, we can't hear you. Is that an aggressive mycelium?
Yeah. Is it like the most aggressive mycelium?
Is it the most aggressive?
No, it's not. It's just particularly well made for the textile. But I wouldn't say. I mean, it's not aggressive. It's also not negative. It's very active. It's very powerful. Mycelium overall as a material is very powerful. You know, its job is to clean up nature. That's a big job. So but it's not particularly aggressive. It's just the way the hyphae grow is in particular suitable for textiles.
Thanks.
Okay, this lady had a question.
Hi, I just had a deconstruction question. Does it function like leather in the sense that of other synthetics that it doesn't break down? Can you hear?
You might have to shout because we cannot hear up here. Do you mind maybe speaking a little louder so we can hear you?
Have the headphones.
Yeah.
Does it work like leather? Like, will it hold up the same way leather does in terms of deconstruction?
It is again, it's its own material class, but so I don't like to compare to leather. So you mean deconstruction in terms of composting at the end of life, or what do you mean?
No, for it actually holding up, because one of
Longevity.
the qualities with leather is
Yes, love leather. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly. So, yes, definite. Sorry. No, we can't.
From the audience, we can't.
Okay.
But I think her question was how long, longevity
Exactly.
compared to leather.
Exactly.
Yes.
So the goal is it has to be, is longevity, of course. You know, that's one of the things we're still working on, but it is in its nature, it goes through the same finishing steps like leather does. You know, leather in itself, if you didn't retan and finish it, it wouldn't have any longevity. So but it goes through the same steps, and the finishing step is absolutely critical for that. But at the same time, we're still working on strength, which is in an active project right now, which we still have some work to do.
So just to wrap up, I would love for you to maybe give some knowledge nuggets to the audience. What would you like them to take away from our conversation today?
And for me, is try it. I mean, to me, obviously there's different constituents here, so to speak. But I think, give innovation a chance in all aspects of your life. May it be trying it as a designer, working with it, spreading the word, trying it as a brand, bringing it into the company as an idea, or as a consumer. Give innovation, us and others, a chance and rule with your dollar as a business and as a consumer.
And I'm speaking here for the SMEs. Do you also work with SMEs, or is it just at the moment you can only work with big companies?
No, we also work with SMEs. They're very helpful in, like this, for example, is done by Melina Bucher. She is, and they're very, very helpful also giving us feedback, and very, very nimble in the way they do. Like we are an SME, I mean, we're not a corporation by absolutely no means. So we do both.
That's quite good to hear, because I know a lot of innovators can't unfortunately afford to work with smaller companies, so they usually work with the big ones to at least set the pace. So it's quite happy to hear that your company works with smaller brands.
We do both.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Connie, for coming with the material and showing us as well and answering all the questions. If any of you have any questions for Connie, please feel free to approach her. She's a very gentle soul, and she's a straight shooter, which is always good. So thank you again.
Thank you for having me.